Hello and welcome to the year 2020. And if you're watching this, that means my channel has not been destroyed by Copa just yet. But before that actually happens, I'm going to continue to have fun with this series until, the day of reckoning finally comes to my channel. If it ever does. Hopefully it doesn't. But hey, I'm an optimist and a realist at the same time, so. Okay. From the previous episode we got through with Sketchbook 1, and frankly, I'm surprised I was able to get that far. And I'm also surprised because I'm averaging around 100 or so views per video, which, tell you the truth, guys, that is like 65 to maybe 78 more people than I've actually expected. Granted, when it comes to YouTube, there's like a percentage of how many people actually last the entire video or a particular amount, or who just came to visit and then leave. But I don't look at that. I don't look at it that way. I look at it as you were interested and you found some interest in some way. And frankly enough, that's all I need. So I'm going to continue moving forward into Sketchbook 2. And this is going to be the final sketchbook of the prologue, and then we're going to get into the actual story. So, without further ado, let's get started with chapter. Oh my god, prologue, sketchbook 2, and we come off on where we left off, where the aftermath of Kusala throwing Sagi into a door. This page is supposed to indicate just how much Kusala has had enough of Sagi's shit, and how much Sagi is actually, quote-unquote, nuance from the previous pages that we've seen her, in that she's actually vulnerable at this point. She's vulnerable because she honestly did not think that Kusala would even attempt to hurt her like that, which is why you see her hurt exactly. One of the main things in all anime that you understand is that even though you have a very powerful character, once you catch that character off guard, most of their abilities are pretty much null. And the thing is about Sagi is her thing isn't durability; it's more just incredible regeneration. So Kusala brings up in one of the panels that she once took a bunch of suns blowing up in her face, and when she says she took them, it means that all of her atoms and stuff was basically vaporized, and she came back within an instant. So that's Sagi's like main thing that I'm getting across. But you won't really get a true example of that until she's in a fight, and she's not going to be in a fight for, I believe. Oh god, I don't know, but it's gonna be a little bit from now, because since she's like level 8 in the scale of levels of ability, where the main character is gonna fight the bad guys, she's far off from now, but it's not gonna be as far off as to take out every single one before her. So let's get that out of the way. So Sagi takes that to heart and leaves. Basically just trying to open up the air for what she said may be true, maybe it's not. At least you see the stances of Sagi saying what she is, but since she feels really hurt from that, that she might be telling the truth. But then you have Kusala on this end saying that he trusts his wife. That can't be what she says she is. So yeah, and then we have the split shot of where Kusala is, and then we go over to the son being Judas. Judas just got through going out and going to his friends, so the next page, we get to see his friends. Okay, I'm not going to go too far into these friends, basically, because in the prologue, you see them, and let's just say, if we are going to see them again, you're not going to see them for a friggin' long time. You could say I'm still on the back burner if I'm actually going to bring these up. Because in the prologue, it's supposed to show basically the duality of where Judas is now and where he's going to end up being. And these friends, while you will see traits in these characters into other characters that may affect his life, not so much these characters themselves. At least I'm saying that now. So here you have Catherine, Javix, Giram, and Styx. Catherine is a succubus, Javix is a kappa, Giram is an elf, and Styx is a vampire werewolf. Now, I had no one ask this question yet because I either think you either understand, but let me just explain it here. Vampires and werewolves are technically monsters in our world, but in my universe, anything that is unnatural to begin with at all is a demon of some sort. So basically, the swamp monster is a demon. The swamp monster is a demon. A vampire is a demon. Werewolf is a demon. Any type of thing that is in like lore that used to be a monster is basically classified under demons. So there's only demons and there's only angels. So there's no like monster, there's no alien, there's no nothing like that. Anything unnatural is a demon, and this is that example of six being that sort of thing. Now, one thing that we're gonna touch upon later in this sketchbook is how these characters are going to interact with the main character, along with just interacting in general. When you get this certain type of demon in limbo, they act a certain type of way than they would if they were raised in another circle. I'll get more into that later, but that's basically your taste of what's to come. Catherine's personality is mainly best friend. Just she is the best friend of Judas. I will say that she has known Judas longer than any other friend in this circle. Javix is the hard ass. Giram is the happy-go-lucky type of person who is not afraid to be extremely blunt when he wants to be. And Styx is just almost as happy-go-lucky as Giram, but she's more willing to stay happy-go-lucky and stretch the truth if it means to. And then we get to the last friend, which comes up to the next page. Rihanna. Rihanna is the girlfriend of Judas. The backstory with how they became together will be touched upon later. I need to get to a particular point first because something gets revealed later down the line that's already in the story about Rihanna's character. Because I will say she comes back at least. But that's basically what these two are supposed to indicate. Now, Rihanna's personality is kind of like Catherine's, but if you don't know what a dairy is, there's many types of rays out there. Deres out there. There's a tsundere, there's a dairy, there's a yandere, there's a yaigere, there's a whole bunch of deres out there. The last two, probably not the ones you want to be hanging out with very much. So when I was watching anime, the only type of dere that I fell in love with is the dere, because it's basically just a girl who's not afraid to show her feelings to the person that she cares about and is just a straightforward good person in forms of relationship matters, which frankly enough I don't know why most animes don't do that, but no, it's usually the tsundere archetype. I already explained why I don't like tsunderes, and now you see why I like the dere archetype, because a straightforward relationship is my type of relationship to write about in stories. So we see in this page that their relationship mostly stems upon fighting. I will say the relationship sparked through a fight, and so they continue to do that a sparring match whenever they meet each other. So they start off with fighting, and they do it so often that the other friends are just kind of just waiting for them to get it over with. And it's also supposed to have their personalities go back and forth with each other. Like Javix is saying various things to make all of them pretty much pissed off. Styx and Catherine are just jealous that Rihanna gets to pretty much have Judas to herself, and Giram is just Giram. I will let you know that Giram is basically the most side of side characters, and sooner or later, the diehard people who are watching these are going to make a bingo list of all different sayings I say these things, and this is probably going to be like the free space type of bingo, and that gets explained later. Giram is a side bitch, a side character of these side characters for a reason, and it's amazing. Going off to the next page, we see the aftermath of the fight, and Judas has lost to Rihanna. Rihanna is threatening to break his arm unless they do a particular thing that if the loser loses, they have to do a particular thing that the winner tells them to do. And she says the usual, and it's basically just him sucking up his pride and saying something embarrassing in front of her. And Judas gets upset, but he immediately perks back up once he gains a kiss from her. And it's like that's the whole thing with this relationship and how they work out. That they spark through fighting, and they love each other because they're willing to say and do things that the other is telling to do. They respect each other through strength, and they love each other through strength. That's basically how I'm writing it. So after they get through with their fight, and Judas and Rihanna come back, Catherine brings up that we shouldn't be wasting so much time because we have a portal thing we were trying to do. Now the portal here, that's in the middle of the middle of the page. Now the whole thing about pentagrams and demon circles and shit like that is that the thing that you see right there is supposed to be upside down. That's on purpose why it's right on up. Since this is going to be explained for a long time, I might as well just say it here and then bring it up again when I finally get to it. These are kids trying to get to Earth right now. They're trying to make a portal in order to go to Earth because they're bored in being in hell, and they kind of just want to experience what Earth is like for a demon. And so they heard that demon lords made portals to allow their demons to go to Earth, and so they wanted to make their own. However, since they're kids and they don't know any better, they thought that the portal pentagram was supposed to be right side up, but it's supposed to be upside down. I will not say that doing the process of trying to open a portal like this means the portal's not going to work. I will say, though, you're going to get a different result from doing something like this. It's a different kind of circle now. There's an example in my head, but I forgot it, so we're just going to leave things off like that. And the rest of the panels are basically supposed to have them wonder how to activate the portal. And this is how you activate a portal from hell to Earth. You need the power of a demon lord in order to open the portal. That is how it works in hell. If you want to open a portal up from Earth to hell, you have to make a pentagram circle and sacrifice the blood of a virgin. It does not have to be a female. It can also be a male as well. It just has to be a virgin sacrifice because, back in the day, that's how shit worked. But these kids believe that it's the other way around, and that you need the blood of a virgin here in order to get to Earth, which it's not impossible to find a virgin in hell. But it is rather difficult, and no one actually knows. And usually, when you get to hell, you either lose it due to circumstances of a demon, or you're just very, very scarce to the point it doesn't even bother looking for you. That sort of thing. And plus, not just you. Okay, I almost forgot to mention. The ritual also requires the virgin to be completely void of sin. So since you're in hell, it's literally impossible to find one of that regard. Man, this is me. I'm trying to remember the page off the top of my head. I really should have them right up here. I'll make these more structured later down the line, but really these are just to shoot the shit anyway. So yeah, you need the blood of a virgin, and the virgin needs to be void of sin, basically not a demon, in order to open it. So these kids are confused because how is it supposed to work? Where do the demon lords get these trinkets to open up their portals when it should be impossible to have that sort of thing? And I also go into a little bit deeper in the process of how this works when we get to this page. It's like Brianna is explaining that once a human dies and they are sentenced to hell, their soul, their body gets obliterated basically, and their soul and mind goes into hell. So they know they're in hell, but the only thing that they forget about in hell is all the sins that allowed them to go into hell. So if they murdered someone, they forget the person they murdered, basically. And they did something, they forget it. That's how this works. Only because if you remembered it, you can repent. The whole thing repenting in my world is that you can repent literally anytime. Anytime you feel like you can forgive yourself and forgive the things that you've done and allow God to forgive you, he will let you out of hell. The only problem is once you get into hell, and this isn't God's doing, this is Lucifer's doing. Once you go into hell, you forget about whatever you did, so you never have the meaning or want to repent of your actions, so you stay in hell, and then you get converted into a demon. Demon conversion acts as though that you are a soul who used to be who you are on Earth. Then you go to like, let's do a better example because I have one example in my head, but I hate going into this topic as is, so I'm just gonna do this. You're going to gluttony. I was gonna say lust, but let's go into gluttony. Once you get to gluttony, you're just a standard person. But then the gluttony demon, the gluttony lord, will basically torment your body, torment it and contort it into a gluttony-based demon. So if it's like a type of demon that has a bunch of mouths on his body to eat various things and grow fat, they will convert your entire being into that. Now you'll be that type of demon. That's how demon conversion works in my story. So when you get to limbo and there's really no actual torment involved, you are basically just a normal person. Same thing goes for demons as well. I was gonna say this for maybe a later page, but I might as well explain it now. Giram, Rihanna, Javix, Styx, and Catherine all are demons that do not act like the demons that you will see later down the line. Succubi will always attempt to zap life or energy through sexual favors through people. Giram will do the same, but as an out. Javis as a Kappa would try to attempt to steal souls of people, and Styx is the type of person who would lose control on the night and feast upon the living. But since they were raised in limbo, they do not have the need to do these things. They do not have the need to do these things. They can only if they wanted to. Basically, it's kind of like what they did in Twilight, and I know it's weird to bring that story up. The only thing they did, it's the only example I can come up with at the top of my head, is that the vampires in that story tried their best to control their urges to suck the blood off of humans, instead opting to go after animal life and stuff like that. While in my story, if you're raised in limbo, a succubi will not want to feel the need to eat through sexual favors, but instead eat regular food, do regular things, and be a regular person. And that's basically how Catherine is right now. She has absolutely no quote unquote slutty nature to her because she wasn't conditioned and forced to turn into that type of thing for the glory of sin in hell. So that's why limbo is so weird to other demons, and why other demons don't tend to go to limbo, because they don't like how it affects them as what they used to be as a quote-unquote demon themselves. So basically when they're shooting the shit of talking about how they're going to open this portal, and they find out they're not going to be able to get the blood of a non-sitting virgin, they just have to come up with something else. Javix heard that the portals can be opened through Demon Lord blood, and since Judas is the son of one, it could probably work with his blood. And then when we get to the next page, we have him attempt to do it, but get stopped because his mom is calling him. So the others panic a little bit because they know how overprotective the mom can be, and they find out that they're trying to go to Earth. She's going to be, let's just say, they're not going to be able to go to Earth anymore and be monitored more due to trying to put themselves in danger. Because Earth is a lot tougher than our Earth right now. Let's get that out of the way. Earth in this current time frame, in their time frame, the year is 2808, by the way, 2808. So way further into the future than we are, and a lot of different shit has happened. However, I will say it's not as technologically advanced as you may think that number would dictate. So let's get that out of the way. This page also, I also like this page because it's showing just how much Judas cares about his mom. That they know they're going to try to keep the secret from her so he can do what he wants. But once Javix even brings up the notion of probably hurting her to make it so that she won't find out, Judas immediately jumps in and says, "You even attempt to do something like that, he would fucking murder you." So Judas loves his mom. Judas is a family man too, just like Alcazar is, and just like that. It's a family. I like that. And Judas says he's just gonna try to see what she wants, get whatever she's here for, and get her to leave. And then we get to the interaction of Judas and Katrina. And I can tell you that Katrina is my favorite character to write about. It's right next to Jehovah. it's because their personalities are so fun to work off of people, especially straight to the point characters like Judas is. And it's just these 2 pages, these 2 to 3 pages that we're going to go over is basically just seeing how they love each other, how deep their bond truly is of being mother and son, and how much Katrina just cares about these two. So Katrina comes in, messing with Judas a little bit, trying to show that she is stern, but she's playful. She's allowing Judas to say various hurtful things that most moms would probably reprimand their sons for saying, like curse words and inappropriate language. But she's okay with that. She just doesn't like it when when he's overly aggressive in his tone to the matter. She will get angry, she will get mad, but she will not. But she does it in a playful manner, as we see at the last panel over there. And she even makes hell puns. I almost forgot about that. Kuthala makes hell puns, and that's like a running joke for at least Kuthala. You know how one person even brought it up too, and I'm happy they noticed that Kuthala says like get the hell out of my office, and it's like, okay, we're on Earth, and we don't say get the Earth out of my office, do we? And it's like that's the joke. He just likes the way it sounds, and he likes that type of humor. And Katrina reinforces that by saying it's hilarious. It's hell puns. Oh, I am pathetic. Either way, go on to the next page, and now we have the reasoning as to why Katrina is even here. She wants to give the zipper to Judas. Now, the reason why Judas lost to Rihanna in the previous panel is because if you notice throughout the other panels that Judas's jacket is unzipped, and when you're a very agile character and you just have this like cape-like thing all around, it's gonna hit your face, it's gonna get in your way, and you're not gonna be as aerodynamic because you got this thing constantly secondary actioning the crap out of you. So thanks to his mom getting the zipper for him, he's able to zip it up, and now he can just fight normally and better. Because back in the other fights, he was actually the stronger of the two, and he was in the lead until they got into a tie, and now Rihanna is on top. Now he's just happy he's able to kick Rihanna's ass. Now that he no longer has to worry about his jacket getting in the way. Now the reason why the reason why he had an unzipped jacket before is because in one of their fights, Rihanna broke it. Now, all of what I'm saying is, when I'm bringing these things up, is because it's going to be important later down the line as to why certain events happen. Like, the whole deal with the prologue is, there's a lot of shit behind the scenes that you just did not know until I delve on it. And we'll get that kind of information when Judas, in the future, asks more about why all this sort of stuff happened. So, just know right now, Judas's zipper got broke by Rihanna. Mom thought it would be a good idea to go and make a new zipper, get it to him, and now she's handing it to him. It's very important to understand how important this zipper is in the fucking story. And it's like, you can basically call this a MacGuffin of the story. But it's not like so MacGuffin-y. It's not so MacGuffin-y that it's supposed to be like the end-all, be-all help of the main character to get. It's just something that he constantly wants to continue to have because of the fact that his mom gave it to him. So after we get done with that, we get a cute interaction where after giving him the zipper, she just wants a kiss on the cheek as a reward for doing that, classic mom stuff. Judas blows her off and she gets mad about it. And they have a little bit of a back and forth, him saying he's not doing it because he gets embarrassed, and just continuously trying to leave the situation without having to suck up his pride, you would say. Now, I don't remember where I got this from, but I know this isn't my thing that just came into my head. When Katrina is trying to tell Judas to come over here and kiss her cheek, like a demanding type of manner, she said if he doesn't do it, she is going to be very, very, and you shoot off to the next page, sad. Instead of saying I'm going to be very, very angry, I'm going to be very, very upset, I'm going to just be disappointed. No, it's just that she'll be sad with a very, very I really just want you to kiss my cheek kind of face. Now we'll delve upon this later, but her emotions right now make sense in a lot of ways. So Judas sucks up his pride, sees that, and just gives her a kiss. It just gives in and says how much he loves her and how much she loves him. And saying she's gonna go check on his father because he seems a little on edge lately, and allows him to go back to his friends. Whew. So as she's leaving, Judas is talking to himself, saying that if Mom knew he was trying to go to Earth, she would stop him immediately because she's always overprotective in that matter, and no one needs to know that this is what they're doing. And as he's saying this, Zaru is in the background, and he heard pretty much everything. Now, running joke. I don't know if I remembered saying this, but I'm gonna say it here. I'm gonna say it again. Kuthala and Judas, and basically anyone who's a Baron, kind of has like a running gag, and that running gag is they talk to you. They talk to themselves a lot. Like when no one's around, they just talk out loud. This is another thing about my own personal self. Just like how I said, Limbo is basically a personal indication of me and how my life was when it comes to walking. Judas and Judas and every Baron character is basically how I always talk to myself out loud when no one's around. I'm in my room, nothing's happening, and I'm just talking about something. I don't know what it is. It's usually about a certain subject matter, about storytelling in some movies or something like that. But I talk out loud instead of talking in my brain because it feels like talking out loud feels better to me. And it was those days where I thought I was crazy because they say if you talk to yourself, you're crazy. But apparently, it just means that you just like putting your feelings out there, even though you know no one's listening. But to me, I feel like someone's listening. Again, I'm not that big of a religious nut, but if there is a higher quote unquote power out there and he's listening, he's listening. Cool, I got someone to talk to. And the best part about it is he doesn't talk back. It's like it's fantastic. So. With that being said, that's just what this panel is supposed to show a little bit. It's not that important. It's just me reinforcing, hey, this is a running joke. Judas is talking to himself, and that is for a reason, just because their race just happens to talk to themselves a lot. And then Zaru's in the background. Then we get into the interaction between Judas and Zaru. Zaru Mahu Rohem and his personality stems from the fact that I like respect-based characters, and respect-based characters are the pinnacle of story writing in anime that I've seen. I love it when people are honorable in fights. I love it when people will sit there and wait. And like Wamu from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is a good example of a respect-based character who does what he does. He's the bad guy, but he will allow the main protagonist in many situations to be at his peak and be impressed and honor the fact that he is impressed by his abilities. I love myself some jerk rivals too, like Blue from Pokemon Red and Blue, because he's like he's a jerk and he's never gonna acknowledge his strength because he feels as though he is always superior. Those characters are cool too, but my favorite has to be the respect-based characters, and that's basically what Zaru is. He comes in, says that if you're trying to go to Earth, a demon like you wouldn't last 10 seconds or at least a day. It's like the whole thing about Earth is it's way more fortified than any other type of planet that you could probably go to. And you would be killed immediately for how weak leveled you are, basically. And Judas just prays that he doesn't tell his mom, and then mom or dad, and Zara's like, "That's none of my business. That's your family's business. I'm here for my business, and that business is I need to go into your castle." And then Judas is like, "You need to go to my castle." Okay, that's weird. But before I delve into that, I got this page as well. Judas asks, "How exactly do you open up the portal?" Because Zaru says, no, the blood of a non-sinning virgin is the other way around. It's if you want to go from Earth to Hell, you need to do that. To do from here to Earth, you need the blood of a very powerful Lord. Quote, very powerful Lord. And Judas is like, so my dad won't work? No. Blood like him is too weak for a portal to open. Portals can be opened by a Lord that's 5 and up, basically. No, 4 and up. 4 and up, basically. Demon Lord 1, 2, and 3 are far too weak to open up a portal on their own. So they have to get the demon blood of 4 and up to do it, which is why I'm also going to preface this. When you go to Earth or any other planet, with demons on it, you're mostly going to get most of the more powerful versions of the lords, and the others are just kind of like leeches on the belly of more powerful demons from other circles. So Succubi come in with other demons from like circle 4 or 5, something like that. So Judas asks Zaru to open up the portal for him since he doesn't care about telling Kusala or Katrina. He's like, hey, then why don't you open it? He's like, no. And he's like, please, and then no. And the back and forth with these two is just supposed to showcase that Zaru's a very patient man. He's trying to do his own shit, and he's just allowing Judas to have his moment, and he's just allowing it to happen. It's great. I love him. And next page, we get that's when we get to the reason why he's here. He's trying to find Sagi. He says that Sagi is off somewhere, but before he's able to really get this information, he opts to try to tell Jews that he's not supposed to even want to care about what he's doing. He's too weak to even try anything about it, so what's the point? So as soon as he's trying to treat Judas like a child, Judas says, okay, then you're not going to be able to go into the castle. Because since Zaru is a man of respect, he came in to find someone who is a resident, who isn't already in the castle, to ask for permission to go into the castle. And since Judas is a main resident, he wants his permission. And as soon as he gets it, he's gonna go. But since he can't get it, he just has to concede and give him the information. And he likes that. He likes that he's Zaru likes that Judas is very resourceful and gives him the information. He needs to find Sagi because she's the only person who can find out if angels are being disguised as demons, to find out about the blade or any other type of thing in any other circle. And Judas is like, oh, okay, hope you find them then. See, and that's just it. It shows just how much he didn't really care about what that information was afterwards. He was just curious. And he also notices, after experiencing that Zaru is a patient man, is a respectful based person, and likes it when you are actually being conniving in a way. Judas comes to a realization that he needs to ask the question of, if Zaru is the Lord of Violence, why isn't he quote unquote violent? And get my favorite page, because I'm finally able to draw Zaru in full body shot and making him my third or fourth favorite design character that I came up with. Zaru goes into detail about what's the difference between like how a violent character can basically act. He may be the Lord of Violence, but he doesn't have to be violent. You expect him to be someone like Glaron, someone who's constantly yelling, experiencing or wanting violence. I will say, in a previous version of my story, I did make Zaru a character who is itching for a fight, kind of like Azrael from the BlazBlue series, a person who is a tough dude who constantly looks for a good fight, but also is honorable in that fight. But I just took that trait out. He's not a person who's looking for a fight. In fact, he's the exact opposite. He hates fighting in general. He may be the lord of something, but it doesn't mean he has to like the thing that he's a lord under. That's like one of the things I'm trying to get across when it comes to some of these demons, and that even though they are classified as a certain thing, doesn't mean they're living by it. And so they have their own personal motives and wants in life. And Zaru's main want in life is to actually just be at peace. But the whole thing with characters in hell is that they gain strength from something, but they also suffer in another way as well. Like, we'll delve more into that when we get to particular lords, and their suffering is a type of way that is a duality between their sin and how their sin even affects them in life. This is basically how Zaru works. Violence to me is the ability to cause harm in any way, meaning that you can cause harm to somebody physically without the intent of actually trying to hurt them, like an accidental shove, a push, a flick on the forehead from a playful sister and a little brother, that sort of thing. Those things, despite not being quote unquote our definition of what violent would be like in war, it still gives Zaru power, which is why I believe Zaru would be in the higher tiers of sin, because violence is everywhere in the world, even if you don't actually intend to hurt someone in that sort of way. And so he gains a lot of power from war, but it's also the secondary stuff that happens to people that allows him to be above Glaron. Let's say that's why they're not next to each other, and it's envy is kind of like sandwiched between the two. And Judas is impressed about that, really getting more into how Zaru works. And he wants Zaru to be his teacher because he wishes to be a person who can wipe out continents by breathing too hard. He wants to be an all-powerful demon lord, kind of like his dad, but even better. The most powerful version of a demon lord out there. And Zaru says it's literally impossible for him to train him. Literally impossible. And Judas is like, it's because what, you don't want to? It's not the fact he doesn't want to. And then I show on the next page, he'd kill him without even trying. You can't train with your master if your master can accidentally kill you just by stepping closer to you in the wrong way. So Zaru pokes him on the chest, and he just coughs out a butt ton of blood, falls to the ground, and sees that he is literally nowhere near the level of Zaru. This is me showing how the higher tiers are and how weak your main character is right now. And I don't want to go on a Star Wars tangent, but I will agree with the people who believe that Rey is a Mary Sue. I've watched all the movies, and I have to agree, especially at the last movie. You cannot deny that in that last movie, she's basically the prime definition of what a character who basically achieves everything with little to no effort and pretty much doesn't even get hurt. And she gets, no, not hurt. There's a difference between getting hurt and getting damaged. If you get hurt, you can still keep your Mary Sue status. But once you get damaged, that's when you are an actual character. What do I mean? What I mean is, immediately in the first few in the prologue, before I even reach chapter 1, I'm already showing just how weak and just how unable Judas is compared to the main villains that he's going to be going up against later in the story, and that he gets demolished with a poke, coughing out blood and nearly dying there. And it's just like he concedes. He automatically knows that he's not strong enough for this. It's that easy to show weakness in a character. I'm not asking for Rey to get her hand chopped off. I'm just asking for Rey to actually make a mistake, and they hold to that mistake, and she learns from it. That's it. That's all it took for me. That's what it took for me to actually just say that Rey isn't a Mary Sue. But they haven't done it once in the movies. And so I'm bringing this up here because when I'm writing my story, I do everything in my power to make it so that everyone is flawed in a way. Even if you have the most powerful character in the verse, that there is something about them that makes them imperfect. I already went through this when it came to Lucifer talking to I Am. Is that you have God, the character of God, and he made a mistake. He did something that is unbeknownst to the title that he is given. And that's just like, I find that interesting because once you go off that, you see how they learn from it. I strive better from it, just like how natural humans do. So this scene showcases Zaru would destroy your main character if he wanted to think he was good with the fighter. Judas gets up, concedes to this matter, and just asks for one thing for Zaru to do, because throughout this entire conversation, it again reinforces that Zaru is a man of respect and how his respect-based personality works with him. Throughout the entire conversation, Zaru has been calling Judas son of Kuthala, not actually calling Judas by his name. And Judas is bothered by that, saying, I have a name, stop calling me son of Kuthala, it's Judas. And Zaru is like, you have not earned the respect of me to call you by that name. Zaru's methods of respect doesn't come from just strength. It comes from honor. It comes from determination. It comes from something that allows him to want to respect you. And right now, Judas has not showcased that he's worthy of respect from a high tier character like him. So, and he's not going to respect him anytime soon. So Judas says, then fine, then I'll kick your ass. And once I kick your ass, you'll call me by my name. And Zaru, taking up that challenge, is like, sure, let's go with that. Good luck. Yeah, sure, let's go with that. Good luck. But there's another reason why Zaru tends to not call people by their name. It's because no one else does it to him. This is another thing about life that I injected into my story. In my life, I went to middle school, I went to high school, and people keep calling me out of my name. While I will not say I hated them doing that, I will say I was a little bothered because the people who did it were people who I didn't even know very well. I think it was friends of friends, and I only had 3, so they had a lot of friends that I was a part of their friend circle. It's like that's the whole thing with my life. When I was in school, I wasn't a man with a friend circle. I was a man who's always a part of someone else's friend circle. Like I know one person out of the 5 other people that are in this room right now. That sort of thing. And not I'm the guy who knows all 5 of these people and they're all friends with me kind of guy. Hopefully that makes sense. And these characters and not characters and these people keep calling me out of my name, either elongating it, doing something like that, and I just didn't like it. I don't know. It was a pet peeve of mine, you could say. It was kind of like whistling at the time, even though I liked whistling at the time. But now it's like I just didn't really like that sort of thing, especially if I didn't know you. If I knew you, I'd be perfectly fine with it. But if I didn't know you, that's really disrespectful to me and my name and what my name is. So that's how Zaru works. It's like Zaru barely knows everyone in life, and when they just abbreviate his name in some way instead of calling it all the way, of course he finds it disrespectful to him as a person for people not to call him by his name. So he doesn't call people by their name, either giving them a title or something along the lines. So that's the whole thing with Zaru. That's why I like him so much. He gains his permission from Judas, and then he leaves to go find Sagi because he knows that if Sagi's not in her circle, she's probably fucking with Kitala, and that's why Zaru knows her so well. So he leaves. Judas is like, okay, that sucked. I need to go back now and see if we can get this portal thing. Tell my friends that this portal thing is a bust, since we don't have a really powerful demon lord to help them out. And before he can actually get there, he hears yelling in the background, so something's happening down there. And we'll talk about that later, because this is actually going on a lot longer than I expected. Also, I'm trying a new thing where I have all the pages up instead of just a set amount, which I'm happy I did, because I was not paying attention to the page number. We're apparently on page 17, and it's been 41 minutes. So we're going to continue moving on next episode. Hopefully you are still enjoying these. I know I am. And you notice that I've added the title to my episodes to allow searching to be easier if this does go on for as long as I believe it's going to. And I'm honestly shocked that I've been doing this for technically a month now. So, yay. This is Do You Want to Be a Universe? I'll see you next time. Bye.